Hi, I'm Colin, and today we're going to be building a circular patio with a fire pit. So the first step in any hardscape process is going to be design. We're using our rotundo circle system, which is neat because you could basically make a limitless diameter of circle without any cuts. All the pieces are pre-beveled and it's just instructional kit. We're going to be going to about 12.5 feet with that circle, then adding a ring of border, which is going to bring us to a diameter of about 14 feet. We're also going to be putting in a 50-inch fire pit, which fits perfectly within the center ring of our circle. Second part of our process is going to be layout. Now, circle systems are easy so long as you know what kind of diameter you need. What you're going to want to do first is establish where you want the center of your circle with a can of marking paint. The placement of your circle can be dependent on where you want it and how the terrain is. After you've established the center, you can mark it with a stake. If you take a tape measure with the radius, which is half of your diameter, and go in a circular motion, you can draw a perfect circle. If you would like to go any larger or smaller with your circle system that time, that would be the time to do so. If you're content with the size of that circle, all you have to do is add a 6 to 8 inch dotted line outside of that circumference to have an extra 6 to 8 inches of gravel base excavated past your edge of your paving stones for restraint. So the third step in our project is going to be establishing and setting our finished grade. We're going to be using string lines and stakes. It's kind of the easiest way to have a good reference throughout your project. What you want to do first is establish the highest point in your terrain and the lowest point, because it's traditionally easiest to slope it in that direction. Once you've established that, you're going to set a string line about where you want the top of your paving stones to be at the end result of the project. You're stretching from that highest point to that lowest point and make it level, and then adjust it for your slope. For this project, we're sloping about 2 3/4 inches because we have about 14 feet to run. Once you have that first string line there, you can repeat the same process, set up additional string lines throughout to have a good reference for excavation and base. If you want to learn more about setting finished grade for paving stones, you can watch our video, How to Establish Finished Grade for Paving Stones. We have all our reference lines set up at the proper slope. Now we can begin excavating, which is step 4. We're going to be digging 7 inches below all of our string lines today. That's going to accommodate 4 inches of gravel, 1 inch of bedding material, and our paver, which is just a little over 2 inches tall. There's a variety of ways you can dig up dirt. The simplest way is probably to use a shovel with or without the assistance of a pickaxe. Or if you want to move things around a little quicker or easier, you can rent a piece of equipment. We're using a mini skid steer today just to help move the dirt around. You could also use a mini excavator if you have rough soil especially, just to make it a little bit easier on your back. Either way, the end goal is to get 7 inches below all these string lines to have the proper excavation. We finished excavating. We're fairly confident that we're 7 inches or lower underneath all of our string lines. We're gonna move on to the next step, which is gravel base. But for this particular project, while we're excavating, we noticed that there is some loose soil around. We can tell that it's probably not native soil. It's most likely fill dirt. So we're gonna take a jumping jack and compact that subgrade, which we don't normally do for a pedestrian application especially. We're gonna go ahead and do it as a preventative measure, then bring in our fabric and gravel base. Our gravel base is nice and flat and compact. We can move on to the next step, which is screeding our bedding material. The rule of thumb is to use something 1 inch outside diameter, like here we're using 1 inch square tubing. The type of bedding material we're using is 1/4 10 It's a 1/4 inch crushed washed aggregate that retains no moisture compared to traditional concrete sand. The Screed material across the gravel, and then you can move on to laying your stones. We've screeded all of our bedding material. We have a couple voids we'll still need to fill as we lay our stones with a trowel and some extra 1/4 but when we lay a rotundo circle system, you have to start from the center and work your way out. So we kept our center stake here the whole time. We're just gonna pluck it out, fill the hole, fill this void. Take your 2 center stones, place them about where they were. Then you're just going to continue working your way out, following the instructions on your pallet tag. If for some reason your pallet tag gets any sort of issues like this one does, before you install your paving stones, you can print that again off of our website. Or if you want to learn more about how to lay a circle system, you can watch our video, How to Lay a Cobble Rotundo Circle System. After you've laid your 12.5-foot circle system, you can put on your edge restraint. We added an additional ring of border stones around ours, so we're going to be putting our edge restraint on the outside of that. The type of edge restraint we're using is called Paver edging. It's a flexible concrete that's bonded together with fibers, and it's made to be low profile. We're going to scrape over our bedding layer before we apply that about 4 inches wide. Once we've put the edge restraint around our whole circle, we're going to compact our stones with a plate compactor. For this type of stone specifically, you could use a traditional plate compactor. We just always have a roller attachment attached to our plate compactor in case we need to do textured stones. It also helps reduce chippage, so it won't hurt anything. It's something we do for good measure. So typically, after you put in your edge restraint, you're going to start sweeping in your joint sand. But for this project, we have a fire pit going in the center of our patio here, and we know that we're going to have to pull up some paving stones, and with sand in the joints, that can make it a little difficult. So we plucked out the centers and our first ring with a paver puller, and then we're going to lay our Chateau fire pit, which has a 50-inch outside diameter, right on top of about at the end of the second ring, and then that third ring. And then we're going to glue it to our pavers for stability. We're going to build it to about 16 inches tall. With our fire pit built, we can move on to the next step, which is step 10. That's going to include our joint sand and all of our landscape around our edges. This is the last step in our process. All you have left to do after that is enjoy your outdoor oasis.